Amphibia Season 2 has been a wild ride over the last 9 months, but everything has come to this. The Calamity Box, the 3 gems, the Toad Rebellion, the family drama, and the very much strained friendships. The mystery and intrigue, everything weaves together. In this special-length season finale, the end of Part 2 to Amphibia, True Colors. And Disney Channel has released an explosive promo that we're going to break down frame by frame for all the juicy details you may have missed. But you're not gonna wanna miss this episode, even if you're not completely caught up with Amphibia. Hell, even if you never even watched this show before. This is the episode everyone has been waiting for from the moment this series has began, as Anne has to brace herself for one of the most important lessons that she'll ever learn. Trust has to be earned, and history can't always warrant a second chance. And before we dive in, I know we haven't been talking much about Amphibia lately, and we haven't been uploading nearly as usual. And I just wanted to let you guys all know that life has been kinda kicking our asses lately. Our state has been going through it with COVID cases, and it's all been affecting us in different ways. From mental health, to our editor actually getting COVID, to all of us getting our vaccinations, and having to overcome the effects, it has absolutely taken its toll. But I want to make it up to you guys for the lack of content, and I already have multiple Amphibia videos in the works, namely one big breakdown on all 3 Temple episodes, that you can hopefully expect to see shortly after this one. So as always, to stay in the loop with all things Amphibia, and the landscape of animation in general, please be sure to subscribe to the Roundtable, and throw this video a like. With all that said, let's dive in. We open with a panning shot, set in what appears to be a heavily guarded dungeon, as we see numerous toads keeping watch around prison cells. Judging by the glowing red coral, it's safe to assume this is in Newtopia, and likely within Newtopia Castle itself. If I had to make a wild guess, this opening promo shot is from the 2nd or 3rd act of the episode, as we'll see the imprisonment of Sasha and Grime for their attempted coup. In the very last shot of this promo, we see Grimes' hands tied up, and Sasha's hands indicate she's likely in the same position. Here's the thing though, considering this is guarded by toads, and Grime has a history serving Newtopia, I believe this whole getting captured debacle is a part of the bigger picture. Get imprisoned, pitch to the guards why they should abandon their loyalty to Andrias with the whole "it's time for a toad to rule" angle, and break out any potential allies in the process. I assume most of the prisoners in here would be other toads, since it feels like Newtopia really just views them as disposable meatheads. Such a sentiment carries over to the next scene, as we see the toads of Grime's rebellion defacing the inner city, tying up and terrorizing the Newts, painting "Toads rule" and "Andrias stinks" on property. It's full of mayhem. The toads have been used and abused for an indescribable amount of time, and they're ready to take a better life for themselves, instead of doing the dirty work for those who reap all the benefits. It's pretty compelling stuff, and I can't wait to see how much they dig into it. We have a voiceover of Marcy and Hop Hop, with Marcy stating it's a Toad Rebellion, Hop Hop following up with, "and there's still a full army coming?" Which only helps to reinforce the idea that Grime and Sasha will be intentionally in prison, only to strike back twice as hard once reinforcements arrive. This dialogue is also accompanied with a shot of Toad Lord Captain Bufo arriving to the outskirts of Newtopia and commanding his army, presumably from the East Tower he dictates, to advance forward and storm Newtopia. If this shot gives you a feeling of deja vu, then you may have noticed that the eyes of the toads are glowing yellow, and they're devoid of any emotion. The last time we saw something like this was in Reunion, when a bulk of Grimes' minions shared the exact same emotionless look on their face with glowing pink eyes. I speculated before that the pink eyes could have been a hidden ability of Sasha's, due to her exposure to the Calamity Box and her own glowing pink eyes. This seems to support that idea 100%, as Bufo displays the same ability here, no exposure to the box required. Which implies, when all 3 of the girls did have their presumed Calamity powers, and should they get them back, that a lot of their abilities may have been amphibian abilities. This is definitely a concept I plan on researching further. But think about it! Just based off everything we've seen thus far, Anne would have abilities adopted from frogs, Sasha from toads, like what we're seeing here, and Marcy from newts. But that's just scratching the surface, and we will be digging deeper. Moving on to a heated moment within Andrias' throne room, Grime, equipped with Barrel's Warhammer, violently smashes it into the ground, throwing Anne, Marcy, Sprig, Polly, Hop Hop, Frobo, and Andrias into the floor, while Sasha and a Newt guard remain standing. Now, we don't know if Grime was trying to smash anything in particular, but if I had to make a wild guess, the absence of the Calamity Box in this scene is pretty telling. Assuming this is set in the beginning of the episode, it's not hard to believe that the gang was moments away from opening the box, giving Andrias whatever he's been waiting for in the process, when right before the moment of truth, Grime derails the whole thing, attempting to destroy it with Barrel's Warhammer. But of course, the box would likely remain intact. Or, Grimesy Boy is just making a statement. I can very much see him just making a bold statement with his hammer. Either way, Andrias is pissed, letting out a mighty roar as he assumes position on all fours like a real-life amphibian. We later see him running in this exact same position like a wild animal, so we can assume this is all in the same scene. Andrias ready to tear Grime apart limb from limb like he's pull apart cheesy bread. Next up, in a personal oh shit moment of mine, the Toads of the Rebellion are either attempting to seize control of the castle or blocking Newtopian forces from advancing, when my girl, General Yunnan, is seen crawling up the ceiling like the badass she is. The Season 2B trailer featured a shot of Yunnan in the castle, striking a pose as she's surrounded by knocked out Toads. So we already know she's about to mop the floor with them. Afterwards, Anne claims they have no idea who they're dealing with, and going off the background, she appears to be in a boarded up location during this stage of Newtopia. I assume this is in between Grime and Sasha's initial attack on the capital and the inevitable rematch between Anne and Sasha, and giving a pep talk to her comrades. Hell, there's no indication for this, but I'd love if this location was the home of Priscilla the Killer, who I expect to make an appearance at some point during the special, giving the fight of her life to save Newtopia, despite her injured tail, and whatever cost fighting with it may entail. Another shot provides the gang, Sasha and Grime included, at the gates of Newtopia as it slowly begins to open. This is absolutely from the beginning of the episode, if not one of the opening shots, as everyone enters the capital together, possibly for the last time. There's a random snippet of Polly holding a knife on top of a pile of playing cards. But I don't really have much to comment on here because Polly is so chaotic that it's hard, and ultimately useless, to figure out the context behind most of her scenes and promos. But we know that this is followed up by the shot of General Yunnan and Frobo landing side by side next to Polly, weapons drawn. Frobo has cannons out, y'all. This is the absolute insanity I've been dying to see in the show, and that they're finally giving to us. I would imagine this is from the latter half of the episode once everyone is out of the castle, but I really can't wait to see Yunnan interact with Sprig and Polly, because I gotta know if they're related, even if they just hint at it. I mean, look at them. There's a family resemblance between Sprig and Yunnan for sure, and Marcy's hints at Sprig's biology in her debut episode hasn't left my mind. To see all these character interactions, it's just beautiful, man. But the pain is for sure being brought, as Anne exclaims, "Just try to stop me," as she unveils her sword from combat camp, charging towards Sasha at full force, leaping into the air, striking with all her might, her enchanted sword colliding with a dual-wielding Sasha, who's donning both of her Heron swords. Granted, we haven't actually seen the Silver Blade in the show proper, but it has appeared in the theme song in nearly every episode of Season 2. So I assume she'll be granted another from Grime, or she'll steal it while she's in Newtopia. Now, for story reasons, it actually makes sense that Anne and Sasha would have their weapons on hand, as Anne was under the impression that they're going home. So they'd want to bring everything they amassed on their journey as souvenirs, and proof that their alibi of going to a frog dimension for months on end is in fact the truth. Still, this is going to be quite the spectacle to watch, and considering the direction and storyboarding of Anne lunging at Sasha, I think this is going to be one of the best looking episodes of the show thus far. I mean, this alone is a boost of fluid animation that I love injected into me. I imagine that we're in for quite a treat when it comes to Western Sakuga. Polly says, "Oh snap," as the Plunder family begins to look nervous within Andrias' throne room, which is likely their reaction to the madness after Grime and Sasha pull a fast one on them. Afterwards, Grime asserts that the rebellion is just getting started, wielding an active Barrel's Warhammer by himself, in the blazing city of Newtopia. I assume this is after the predicted prison break within Newtopia dungeon, and we may even see him go toe-to-toe with Yunnan again, as they were robbed of a proper match in Toadcatcher, and she initially had her sights set on him in the first place. Also, Sprig's flinging shit at people, I think. I hope it's not his, that'd be kinda gross. No, but seriously, I think it's just mud. Grime yells a mighty roar on the balcony of Newtopia Castle. And if we go back to the shot of him smashing his hammer onto the ground, we can identify that these are both the same area. I think after Grime makes his first game-changing move, he immediately runs to the balcony and signals for the rebellion to start attacking. Great stuff. Next up, and straight up going to deck Sasha in the face, I guess, giving her a scar and a black eye. The old wombo combo. Violence! Wow. I think it's finally safe to say that the human trio needs therapy, and lots of it. But what better therapy is there in a shonen and video game influenced series than duking it out with good old fisticuffs? And wrapping things up with this breakdown, it seems like Newtopia itself might explode, as there's a mysterious blue explosion that seems to engulf the entire city, which may be Calamity Box related. I think it's a pretty safe bet thanks to the color blue. Last but not least, in the shot we referenced earlier, Sprig tells Polly to stop scratching her butt, which comes across as an easy kitty joke, but it indicates to the audience that Polly's legs are finally growing in, something that was teased back in Marcy at the Gates. And I wouldn't be surprised if she had them before the end of the episode. And with that, guys, our breakdown comes to an end. Wow! So much is going down. So many plot points and characters converging. And for longtime viewers of the channel, you know that's exactly what I like to get from these kind of shows. Payoff with immense character interaction. But as always, I want to know what you guys think. What are your thoughts towards this promo? What are your predictions for the episode? How do you think it's going to end? And did you notice the surprising lack of Marcy in this promo? So much is going on, but she's nowhere to be found. Aside from the shots we said she was in, of course. It's very interesting to say the least, and I think we gotta be prepared for her to rip her hearts out. So drop all your speculations down below, or tweet them over at Roundtable Vids, and I'm always dropping random memes, predictions, and hot takes over at my social media at OstricVox on both Twitter and Instagram. Shout out to our patrons for supporting us during this time, and once again, if you enjoyed this video, please throw it a like and subscribe to the Roundtable for more great cartoon content, because you won't find this insight on Western animation anywhere else. Thanks for watching, and I hope you guys have an awesome day. See ya!